Hi, this is Kendall Boyson, professional life and recovery coach, and you're listening to Encouragementology, the practice of instilling hope. Hi there. Thanks so much for joining me. On this show, we are talking about teamwork and the power of connections. Even though being self-sufficient and independent might be a goal, it's not the goal. We need each other to survive and thrive, and guess what? Our soul craves each other. So, before you strike out on your own, making your own journey of self-discovery a solo mission, settle in as we talk about why creating a healthy network of friends, family, and acquaintances is the only way to travel. Ready to pick your teammates? So, you don't just wake up one day and have a strong, loving, and supportive network of friends and family, just in case you were taking a step back to look at your own situation. You could have been born into a big family where everyone was loving and super helpful. You grew into adults and everyone kept in touch, still getting together on a regular basis, but that's not really the norm. Most of us have a small, tight group of people who we let into our inner sanctum, our life. If you had regular recess with organized play, you might have multiple chances to meet and even incorporate new friends. But as you get older, that can be a much harder process. There is work that takes up the majority of your time, extracurriculars with kids, civic organizations, church, social clubs, and so on. If you're between jobs or retired, it can be even harder. It might feel safer and easier just to stay in your comfort zone and reach out with a like or a love every now and then. Relationships, creating them and maintaining them takes effort, but oh, the payoff. LEAH MANDEL interviewed a scientist to find out why we need friends in an article she wrote for thefader.com. Friends are important. So important, in fact, that it's been proven that friendship can extend life expectancy and lower chances of heart disease. Friends help us survive. Part of why that has to do with what happens in our brains when we interact with other humans. A 2011 study detailed the role of the neurobiological endogenous opioid system, the stuff in the brain that makes us feel good, in positive social relationships. In 2016, researchers found evidence of the release of oxytocin in the brains of primates during social interaction. And later that year, psychologists conducted a study that suggested levels of pain tolerance can predict how many friends someone has. Friendship ignites the part of the brain that makes us feel good, which makes us want to keep hanging out with our friends. But it's still not quite clear why. There are a lot of things that we just don't know, says Dr. Lauren Brent, an evolutionary biologist and professor at the University of Exeter. She says, friendship was long considered a soft topic, which is a shame considering how important friendship is to all of our lives. But what we do know about all those happy brain chemicals in both humans and monkeys can inform evolutionary hypotheses. She explains the deeper historical evolutionary reasons we probably make friends. You can quantify how important friendship is by, say, recording how much time each of us spends talking to, interacting with, or thinking about our friends, and how much pain people feel when they lose a friend or get in a fight with a friend. One of the ways to get at the question of why we make friends is to look at the brain. In people and other animals that have friends, we know that all those nice, lovely chemicals like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin are involved. The best hypothesis as to why that might be is because they motivate us to act in a friendly way. If interacting with friends feels good, if it relieves stress and releases dopamine, it motivates you to do that behavior another time. It sounds calculating and weird to talk about people that way, but it's true. The chemicals in our brain make us behave in a certain way, and some of those are ingrained in us in evolutionary terms. Because it happens in animals too. It makes us do the things that are good for us. If being social is something you're supposed to do as a human because it benefits you, then the first point of call is always going to be your family. If they do well, then your genes do well too. But people and lots of other animals live in big groups where they're surrounded by not only their family, but non-family members. Because we see friendships happening in little groups of monkeys where they form relationships with non-family members, that suggests it's a pattern that isn't removed from our evolutionary past. It's not just some weird thing of modern human life. It's an evolutionary puzzle. You invest time, energy, and real goods like money or stuff that you own that you share. Why in the world would you do that with someone you're not related to? There must be some way you get a return on your investment. How exactly is the big question mark over the scientific study of friendship? We don't know exactly, especially if we want to go back in time to early humans and how they were benefiting from friendship. We can guess. When you get it in a fight, maybe your friend comes in and supports you and makes it less likely that you'll get fatally injured. Or you might want to be friends with the woman who knows where all the best berry patches are because she'd take you there or come back with lots of food to share with you. Even though our lives are now removed from simple ecological pressures, there's still that power dynamic and social navigation going on, just for different specific reasons. But the basic reason is still the same. You want information and access to resources. It's maybe not the most satisfying answer, but the basic take-home message is that we make friends because it gets us something. We know this definitely because lonely people are more likely to die and to have heart disease. And there are the reward chemicals in the brain that are like, this feels good, keep doing this. If you put somebody in a room and make them do some horrible tasks like public speaking and their friend is there, their heart rate doesn't go up nearly as much. That signals that your friends are getting you through something with just their presence in the room. It's fun as modern people to think about friendship because our lives are so weird and we do move abroad and live away from our family. High school is like a training ground for the fact that you're about to leave your family, go off to college, start a job, maybe live in your own place, and suddenly you're surrounded by strangers. And now you need friends to play some of those roles. You go into a friendship frenzy during that time because you need to reestablish relationships you've lost because your social situation has changed so much. It could also be because you're broadening your social circle because you want to have a new romantic partner, a job. You want to find out new cool information about different types of sports or clubs, maybe food and restaurants. You're trying to establish social roots. During a moment in this time when all that is incredibly important and when you don't really have any of it, the role that friends play becomes really obvious. Like, I need these people to feel a part of society, to feel like I can make it on my own and cope with even the smallest changes. I was not blessed with a large family and a bunch of cousins. My best friend growing up was, and I was always so jealous of the fact. It was like she was related to everyone and they all shared something in common. I felt like an outsider or like I was missing something. Not just sharing a last name, but the camaraderie and the familiarity being a part of something exclusive. So I began adopting my parents' friends and coworkers as my aunts and uncles. Immediately, I felt a stronger connection, even though most of them probably weren't fully aware of what I was doing. I still have close relationships with some of my childhood friends, and I've incorporated others along the way. When social media and texting came out, it felt like the most convenient way to stay in touch and still attending to your busy lifestyle. I jumped in with both feet, connecting with former coworkers and classmates, casual friendships that popped up on vacation, and a host of others. But today, as I think of that strong, loving, supportive network, I realize that it's going to take more effort to go deeper than the annual birthday wish or a like and a quick comment. I need to make time for my family and friends and make an effort to nurture new ones. At one point, we needed each other to survive, really survive. It was the buddy system. You watch my back while I forage for food, and you help me build this shelter and provide a different perspective to my ideas. Now, obviously today, the same threats and challenges don't exist, but our wiring still craves each other. How about you? Do you have a large family that you keep in touch with? How do you keep in touch with them? Quick calls on birthdays and holidays? How many times do you get together? What about your friends network? Are they old friends, new friends? How often do you share? We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about that. But right now, we're going to take our first musical break, and we are featuring songs all about friendship and connection. And this first one is James Taylor, You've Got a Friend.
When you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand, and nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call up my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yeah, baby, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, now all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You've got a friend. If the sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud now. Soon I'll be knocking upon your door. You just call up my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yes, I will see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, yeah, all you got to do and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you. Well, they'll take your soul if you let them. Oh yeah, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Oh baby, don't you know about winter, spring, summer, or fall? Hey, now all you've got to do is call. Lord, I'll be there, yes I will. No, you've got a friend. You've got a friend, yeah. Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Oh yeah, yeah, you've got a friend.
You're listening to Encouragementology on WDBX Carbondale, your community radio for Southern Illinois. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, we are talking about teamwork makes the dream work. Now, you might think this is all about business, but we're really talking about relationships and how we need each other, how going it alone is not the best way. Being independent and self-sufficient is awesome, but you still need people to survive and thrive. Teamwork. Leave it to Harvard in one of its longest studies to reveal that relationships is what makes us happier and more successful. The surprise finding is that our relationships and how happy we are in our relationships has a powerful influence on our health. This is from Robert Waldinger, a psychiatrist and professor at Harvard Medical School. He told the Harvard Gazette in 2017, "Taking care of your body is important, but tending to your relationships is a form of self-care too. That, I think, is more of a revelation." Waldinger, the director of the Harvard Study of Adult Development, said in a viral 2015 TED Talk, which was released in 2015, that good relationships keep us happier and healthier. The ongoing Harvard study is considered one of the longest studies about adult life. It started in 1938 during the Great Depression. Our study has shown that the people who fared the best were the people who leaned into relationships with family and friends and with community. The study aims to shed light on how psychosocial variables and biological processes from earlier in life predict health and well-being in late life, 80s and 90s. What aspects of childhood and adult experience predict the quality of intimate relationships in late life, and how late life marriage is linked with health and well-being? Most of what we know about human life we know from asking people to remember the past. As we know, hindsight is anything but 20/20. We forget vast amounts of what happens to us in life, and sometimes memory is downright creative. In the past 79 years, the researchers tracked the lives of 724 men, following up with each one on an annual basis to ask about their work, home life, and health. They not only received questionnaires, but they were also interviewed in their homes, provided their medical records from their doctors, got their blood drawn, their brains scanned, and let the researchers talk to their children. The participants were broken up into two groups. The first group started in the study as sophomores at Harvard College and finished college during World War II, with most heading off to serve in the war. The second was a group of boys from Boston's poorest neighborhoods. selected specifically because they were from some of the most troubled and disadvantaged families in Boston in the late 1930s. After gaining tens of thousands of pages of research data based on these participants, the clearest message from the study is that good relationships keep us happier and healthier. Here are the 3 lessons you can learn about relationships from the study. Social connections are really good for you. Waldinger said the first lesson you can take is that social connections are really good for us and that loneliness kills. It turns out that people who are more socially connected to family, to friends, to the community are happier. They're physically healthier and they live longer than people who are less well connected. Keeping to yourself and experiencing loneliness is toxic. Waldinger points out that people can even feel lonely in a crowd of people or in their own marriage. People who are more isolated than they want to be from others find that they're less happy, their health declines earlier in midlife, their brain functioning declines sooner, and they live shorter lives than people who are not lonely. When it comes to relationships, pick quality over quantity. Just as a parent or a teacher may have once warned you, when it comes to friends, it's not about the number of friends that you have, but it's the quality of your close relationships that matter. Waldinger adds that you should also make sure that your relationships are healthy because your willingness to commit to a person or people is not enough to reap the benefits. It turns out that living in the midst of conflict is really bad for your health. High conflict marriages, for example, much without affection, turn out to be very bad for our health, perhaps worse than getting divorced. Good, warm, and close relationships, on the other hand, have the ability to buffer us from some of the slings and arrows of getting old. 80-year-old men and women who were happily partnered reported on the days when they had more physical pain, their mood remained just as happy. Those in unhappy relationships had their physical pain magnified by being in a more emotional pain. Good relationships actually protect your brain. Waldinger explained that in addition to positively affecting your physical and emotional health, good relationships have the power to sharpen your memory. People who are in relationships where they feel they can count on their partner in times of need actually have a sharper, long-lasting ability to remember things. Those who were in relationships where they felt they couldn't count on their partner experienced early memory decline. It's not that the researchers found that people in good relationships were flawless or had to be easygoing all the time. As long as they felt that they could really count on the other person when the going got tough, those arguments didn't take a toll on their memories. If you want to be happier and have stronger, positive relationships, replacing screen time with people time, livening up a stale relationship by doing something new together, such as long walks or date nights, or reaching out to the family member who you haven't spoken to in years. There has to be a healthy balance. Creating and maintaining healthy relationships shouldn't feel like another thing on your to-do list, like working out, eating healthy, and now making friends. It should feel satisfying and rewarding, which would motivate you to seek that kind of feeling on a regular basis. I love to blow young people's minds by telling them about a time when people would visit. You know, you stop by or pop in, or better yet, you schedule a get-together. I think first they're amazed that you would actually spend a whole afternoon talking with someone. When you can send 5 to 10,000 abbreviated messages a month, an afternoon with the same person seems like a waste of time. Also, the idea of talking uninterrupted about your day, week, month, or year. But to the rest of us, doesn't that sound delightful? Sharing your dreams, challenges, and successes with another human being you trust is so powerful. This is more than a grocery store catch-up or a nervous icebreaker. How's the weather? This is about investing in another person, your time, your energy, and your emotions. I want you to think about that. Think about visiting. Spending the afternoon with someone you haven't talked to in a long time. Really the power of getting away from your social media post and diving into more of what's going on in your life. The stuff that you wouldn't share publicly, but you would share with a trusted friend. How exciting that would be just to let your hair down, let your guard down. A Swedish proverb promises, shared joy is double joy. Shared sorrow is half a sorrow. Experiences of sharing anything from a troubling dream to an ice cream cone can show I love you across cultures, gender, and age. Let's explore other ways to show love from Dr. Ronnie Beth Tower in an article she wrote for Psychology Today. A 2-year-old will reach out her hand to offer a turn at a toy to someone she trusts and wants to see smile. A romantic relationship takes a step forward when the one person offers a sip from their drink to the other, and it's accepted. A parent and child both win when they play tennis, walk the dog, or watch television together. Understanding the what, how, and why of this language of love helps us become fluent in its use. Sharing is so important. So let's talk about it. What do we share? Moments. When we share a moment in time with someone else being fully present in our experience, whatever it may be, we bear witness for one another. We create a history of common meanings. The sun setting behind the Palisades across the Hudson evokes just a visual imagery of beauty and importance. But the wonder of watching colors kaleidoscopically change by the second, a magic moment in time. Sometimes these moments expand into life. Imagine sharing that with another person. Totally different than sharing that on your own. We share experiences and discoveries. Life brings challenges, opportunities, and insights. By encountering experiences or discoveries together with another person, we learn how they approach situations, reach to them, and are willing and able to collaborate. We share thoughts and opinions. An article in the newspaper or online, a post on Facebook, a reaction to a meeting, or analyzing a movie brings opportunities to explore and appreciate similarities and differences. Respect for others' viewpoints and judgments deepens. We become more able to love them for all that they are, not only for the ways in which they reflect us. We share feelings, concerns, and reactions. We react emotionally to a surprising and delightful encounter at the supermarket, to a report card received by a child or an evaluation from a supervisor, to an unexpected invitation to a celebration. The Swedish proverb captures the doubling of joy and the halving of sorrow when it's shared. We share tasks. Calvin Trillin wrote, "Marriage is not merely sharing the fettuccine, but sharing the burden of finding the fettuccine restaurant in the first place." To say nothing of getting homes and cars maintained, bank accounts balanced, ruffled feathers smoothed out, and social commitments made. Many tasks require another person. How nice when we get to do that as a shared experience. We share allocating priorities and commitments. When you become a couple or you share responsibilities with friends, you realize that you might prefer doing it together versus doing it alone. In sharing your hopes, desires, and perspectives, you become able to honor relationships and make choices that nourish it. We share dreams and vision. Conceiving of possibilities can be one of the most inspiring or scary activities one can engage in. In an intriguing line of research, Hazel Marcus and her colleagues have demonstrated the power of imagination to guide motivation and choices. We shape our futures into the realities they become. Help each other transform dreams into realities. Isn't that fun? When you have that accountability partner and you share your dream and that excitement about creating something new, checking in on progress. So, how do we share? We just talked about what we share. How do we share? We share by spending time together. Nothing replaces clocking minutes in one another's presence. Research on the positive impact of family dinners on children's development underscores the impact of FaceTime. Even though electronics offer distant contact alternatives, moments spent in each other's presence opens doors to touching and an exchange of energy that is not possible in two-dimensional space-time, no matter how simultaneously the Skyping can be. We share by coordinating and organizing, by working through the challenges of setting priorities and developing a plan that can be implemented. People come to agreements when they share. Being able to trust each other, to not unilaterally change an agreement, becomes a firm foundation for trust that each other will honor the relationship by having integrity. We share through allocating and doing the work, the tasks. When two people can rely on each other to complete their share of agreed to work, that which could deteriorate into nagging and feelings of betrayal, or worse, a passive-aggressive fight of control, can be avoided. We share by discussing and communicating. Sharing requires communication, especially when it's nonverbal. The joys of a snuggle and the surprise of a beautifully presented dinner. Even these treasured events cannot take place without communicating a desire and intention to both be in the same place at the same time. We share by providing a reality check and just another pair of ears. No two people perceive in exactly the same way. Isn't that great? That you can come at it from different angles? Sharing experiences allows one to expand perspective, to see a situation from a new angle, to retain bits of information they might have otherwise ignored, to broaden the ways in which an issue or event or decision can even be considered. Perception and memory can be validated or corrected. We share through vision and visualization. By enlisting the powers of imagery, people can co-create an idea of the present, a story about the past, a hope for the future. Long known as the effective aid in problem solving, visual imagery can bring improvements in emotional regulation, social understanding, and impulse control. It can also amplify positive feelings, making them more likely to occur. We share through defining problems and finding and testing solutions. Whether the issue is how to understand and work with a child's temperament, deciding upon a destination for a vacation, or choosing a town or city to live in, sharing with discussion and communication, hearing data from multiple sets of ears, using vision and visualization, strengthens the end result. We share through unconscious mirroring, emotional validation. When people are in the presence of others, they energetically absorb each other's emotions. Depending upon individual differences, characteristics of situation, and dynamics in the relationship, this unconscious process can lead to validation, with one person mirroring the reactions of the other, sending and receiving unconscious messages of positive feelings and negative ones profoundly affects the quality of the relationship, whether two people live in an energy-filled or chronically positive, negative, or shifting emotions. Being able to enjoy the validation when it's positive and detach from it when it's negative are keys to managing the effects of closeness and distance. I love talking about sharing. It's just so powerful. And being the director of multiple support groups, I have seen it in action. Even if it's not intended to be a one-on-one relationship, you can form some really deep bonds by sharing with another human being. It's also so great to be supportive, not just dumping your issues, but connecting with someone that might understand where you're coming from, provide another perspective, just being there for you. So powerful. If you're not hooked up with a group, if you don't have a large network of loving, supporting friends, don't settle for that. Reach out to one. We are hardwired to seek social contact. Our need to be connected to others is universal. Without it, we fail to form bonds that could sustain us as we grow, and our expectations of new relationships are dismal. Sharing combats loneliness. Recent articles on the hazards of loneliness only amplify earlier findings that document loneliness's negative impact on health, contribution to depression, and capacity to shorten life. Sharing amplifies intimacy. Being able to rely on a partner or a friend for closeness that comes through sharing is associated with longer life, fewer depressive symptoms, and higher evaluation of one's own health. They're happier. Sharing facilitates course correction. To the extent that we are born into this lifetime with an internal map of gifts meant to flower as we grow and contribute to the world, relationships can help us permit that unfolding. Sharing helps us understand and appreciate differences. Any two people are both similar to one another and different. Through the sharing in their relationship, they can come to recognize and respect those differences, a gift that can extend well beyond two people. Sharing brings positive experiences. John Gottman and his colleagues have creatively demonstrated the enormous importance of sharing positive emotions within a relationship. Feelings of joy, pleasure, surprise, interest, or of being rewarded, comforted, loved, delighted, make sharing the key to reinforcing the source of good feelings that originally drew two people to one another. Sharing can expand a sense of spirituality, being part of something beyond the self. Self-respect, connection to others, a feeling of purpose, and being a part of a larger plan of the world are also part of sharing. When you find trust, honesty, support, and love from a spouse, a longtime friend, or a new acquaintance, nurture that relationship. Make it a priority within your life. If you've become complacent and closed off, take this time, an opportunity to open yourself up to the possibilities of new relationships. Reach out and ask for inclusion and networking. Remember, you're not the only one craving. you want to share encouragementology with a friend who needs to know they are not alone in this journey of self-discovery, you can visit encouragementology.com or anywhere you stream your content to receive this episode and all others. Follow us on Facebook for additional encouragement throughout the week. So I challenge you, reach out in person and schedule some time to get caught up on the lives of those you love. Make room and a real effort to invite more people into your fold. Share, learn, and grow in the love of a strong and supportive network. There is no better investment. And I know you can do it. Thank you for listening to Encouragementology with Kendall Boyson, where we find positive ways to handle some of life's challenges.
Stumbled through until the path was clear. That's when I found you, and how I wound up here. All I needed was a rock that I could lean on. All you needed was some wind beneath your wings. We might be seeing things from different points of view,